Hi there. My name is Andre Schweitzer, and I'm a second-year business analyst in the McKinsey Chicago office. And today I'm going to be answering some questions about my experience at the firm, as well as give some advice to those of you who may be interested in applying to McKinsey. I was born and raised in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and motivated by a strong passion for planes and trains and anything and everything that had to do with them, I moved to Chicago about 5 years ago, where I was given the opportunity to attend Northwestern University, where I got my joint BS/MS degree in industrial engineering and transportation systems. I joined McKinsey as a sophomore diversity leadership intern, which is nowadays known as a sophomore summer business analyst. Very much fueled by that same interest in transportation systems and the opportunity to work in supply chain and travel projects as young as a 20-year-old. That summer, I met some of the most fantastic people I've ever met, and I decided that I wanted to have them as my mentors. Therefore, realizing that McKinsey was indeed the best place for me to start my career, which brought me back as a full-time business analyst last September, so about 10 COVID months ago. In the meantime, I've been happy to confirm that hypothesis and see that McKinsey was indeed the best place for me to start my career, and I'm still pretty excited to be here. In terms of most memorable mentorship experience at McKinsey, I should probably start a journal for this because there's so many. But one that comes to mind right now actually happened right before I rejoined as a full-time business analyst. And it was when one of the older business analysts, also out of the Chicago office, a year older than me, and a really good friend of mine, hey Arturo, sat me and another friend of ours down and said, well, I don't know if all of these will be applicable to you, but here are the lessons I learned in a year of McKinsey, right? And then he went on to share very personal reflections around his experience, right? Lessons he learned after celebratory and very challenging moments. But what inspired me was sort of his voluntary vulnerability, right? His basically willingness to share these experiences with us out of his own goodwill. And that was very inspiring to me. One of the things he said that really resonated with me was about being honest about my capabilities, capacity, mental health, always, no matter what, right? And this resonated because I think as a younger tenured colleague and coming into McKinsey, right, this awesome environment, you're sometimes pressured to prove yourself, right? And that's very much the mentality I had coming in. But I decided to take his tip from day one, right? So from day one, I've always been super honest with my teams, and no matter if it's like a senior partner or a manager or fellow analyst, about my needs and capabilities, right? I've never said that I could do something that I couldn't. I never stopped myself from asking questions. I never even hesitating on sharing commitments like therapy sessions, right? And I'm very glad to say that it was a great tip. It worked. And McKinsey is very welcoming to that sort of attitude and appreciates even that folks share that, right? And I later learned that this is called psychological safety, and it really does help people perform at their best. I felt that in my own experience every day. So that was for sure one of the most significant mentorship experiences I've had. And I've also been happy to see that all my other mentors also share that same level of willingness to help, vulnerability, and willingness to create this environment of psychological safety, which has been awesome, in all honesty. My advice for someone who's applying to McKinsey right now is certainly that there is no typical person here. And I say that because I often encounter people who are apprehensive about applying because they think they don't have the right qualifications/background, or even folks who dismiss opportunities at the firm because they believe those opportunities are for a specific type of person that they're not, right? And I'll say that because that was very much me applying to McKinsey at 19 years of age as a sophomore in college with a different background, not having English as my native language, right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what I've noticed here is precisely the opposite. The diversity of backgrounds, experiences, opinions, nationalities, you name it, is precisely what makes this place such a huge learning opportunity for me, right? And I've actually made a point about observing this from day one, and I'm glad and very happy to say that to this day, I've never been in a McKinsey room or Zoom, as a matter of fact, with just one type of person, right? Be it in terms of nationality, sexual orientation, race, background, etc. My mentors here come in all different shapes, colors, nationalities, senses of humor. And that's precisely why I've been learning so much. So again, there's no type of person for this place. Please apply. Every experience background is very much appreciated and valued.